Hello, this is LeeAnne from Neighbor to Neighbor and the Hamilton Community Food Center. I'm the community gardener here, and today I thought I'd show you how to start seeds in a cell tray. So this is the cell tray that we're going to be using, and I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do a soil mix, and then how to fill your cell tray with soil and how to plant seeds. So for our soil mix, we're starting with just a kind of regular potting mix. You can see it's got this white perlite, it's called. That's just a material to help with drainage in your potting mix. And to that, we're gonna add a little bit of fertilizer. So for fertilizer, you can use any kind of nitrogen-rich material. Some people like to use alfalfa for that. Today we're gonna use some blood meal, and I've just added a 1/4 cup of blood meal to about 6 liters worth of soil that we have here. And then, so this is going to be really nitrogen rich and give the plants a boost when they're starting to produce their foliar growth for their stems and leaves. And then we're adding a little tiny bit, about an 1/8 of a cup of this lime. So this is going to add a little bit of calcium to the soil mix and just make nice, strong, healthy plants as they're growing. So that stuff's been added. I'm just gonna mix it up really well. And at the same time, I'm gonna crush any kind of bigger chunks of soil. And I'm also gonna be picking out any kind of little sticks and things that we don't want in the soil mix. So mix that pretty well. And now I'm gonna get it wet. So it's always nice to put seeds into wet soil, keeping them nice and moist as they grow will help them germinate much faster. Okay, so this mix is thoroughly moistened. We're at about a 40 or 50% moisture content, which all you need to know is that when you squeeze a handful of soil, actually that's wrong, we don't want to see. So this is a good example of how to make soil too wet. So I'm squeezing a fistful of soil and there's a little bit too much water coming out of my fist. So I'm going to add a little bit more dry mix to balance out the moisture. We've added a little bit more dry mix to balance out the moisture content, and this is a little bit better. This is what we want to see. So I'm squeezing, and you can see, if you look closely at my fist, you can see there's water starting to form, but nothing is dripping. So that's the ideal moisture content that we want for starting seeds in a cell tray. So this is our cell tray, and I've chosen this one, this 1 inch, 1.5 inch size block, because I'm going to be planting some lettuces in here, and they're going to be in here for 2 to 3 weeks before I transplant them outside. So this is a good size. If I was going to be keeping them in cell trays for longer than 2 to 3 weeks, I would want a bigger size cell. So it just depends on how big you want your plants to grow, is how you would choose your cell size. For filling your cell tray, you want to try to get the soil to be compacted in there, but not so compact. So I wouldn't want to squish the soil down with my hands. That would make it too compact, and then the roots would have a hard time growing down through the soil. So a good trick is to actually let gravity help you out. So I'm going to lift the tray about 1 foot off the ground and let it drop. So this just helps get soil down into the bottom of each cell. And then you want to make sure it's nice and even across the top. Picking out any sticks or things that might interfere with the plant growth. And then you can just assess soil for your next tray. Okay, so the seed tray is prepped and ready to go. So now we're going to plant our seeds. So like I mentioned, we're going to be doing lettuces in this tray. So I have a couple of varieties here. And before I even put a single seed in the soil, I'm going to go ahead and label them. So I've got my labels already made. So I know I'm going to do these 3 rows with this particular type of lettuce. So I'm going to stick the label in before I even start, so that I can keep track of what I've seeded. So a little bit of lettuce seeds. Now for lettuce, because the germination rate isn't going to be 100%, I'm going to be putting 2 seeds in each block, so that of the 2 of them, I know one of them will definitely germinate. So now that they're all tucked in, I'm going to go ahead, and you can do a couple things to cover your seeds. You can kind of brush soil over the top if you like, or another method is just to recover them with some fresh. You could even use dry mix. I might use dry mix actually, just because it's a little bit easier than playing around with the wet stuff. So just cover your divots, cover your seeds. And now I might, at this point, just take a spray bottle and spray them a little bit with a gentle mist of water, but the soil is already wet, so that's not really a necessary step. And in a few days, maybe 4 to 5 days, we should see some seeds germinating here. And then we'll be off to the races.